Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel where money buys happiness. This particular video I want to talk to you about is called Jumping Lines, and I think it's going to help you to make some decisions to move yourself forward along your success journey, your financial journey towards becoming financially independent. All right, so I'm going to share my screen with you and run you through this, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. So leave us a comment on the YouTube channel, and I'll come back and reply. And of course, follow me on Instagram at Lloyd James Ross. You'll see in the banner there. You'll see my Instagram account, and I hope you enjoy this. So where do we start here? So we know this, whether doesn't really matter what age you are. If you're watching this video, I know that you're wanting to move yourself forward in your financial or your success journey, right? Probably in regards to money, right? Because that's what I'm known for, is money and financial coaching. So here we go. What we do know for sure is that you are now the youngest you're ever going to be. So you're in a position right now. And what we know is with the passing of time, you are going to be in a future financial position. Okay. What that is determined by what you do. So we are a product of our decisions. Okay. So there are, 4 outcomes to a financial future that will happen to you based on those decisions. All right. Or indecisions. Now, typically between now and when you want to be in that best financial shape for retirement, or not even retirement, but like just being financially independent, not having to work, right? Building wealth. For some people, yeah, certainly is retirement. They don't like their job. But whatever it might be, it's probably between 20 and 30 years between when you need to actually say, hey, I wish I had a ton of money right now because I can't work as much as what I did. All right. So that's going to come. Whether you like it or not, it's coming. So there are 4 outcomes that will be possible for you. The first outcome is called an ideal outcome. Okay. Now, an ideal outcome is ideal because it means that you've got choices when it comes to money. And typically, if you've got around about $2 million invested in some sort of fund, I'll just move my camera there. You see behind that, if you can't see it on the recording, you'll see that it's $2 million, right? So here's the thing. That'll give you, in today's dollars, around about just under $100,000 in income. So it'll allow you to not have to work in terms of passive income, okay? So that's an ideal outcome, 2 million plus, all right? The next outcome is what we call an okay outcome. And an okay outcome is okay, like you still have some choice and some flexibility, but you don't have that true independence of wealth, okay? But it's certainly better than the 2 other outcomes I'm going to explain in a second. So the next outcome is what we call a poor outcome, okay? Now, a poor outcome is where you've got around about $500,000, okay, at the end of your working life. And of course, the 4th outcome is what we call crisis. Now, crisis is where you've got less than $500,000, at the end of your working career. So here's the thing. Crisis happens when we drift, okay? And you don't know you're drifting. And drift always heads downwards. You can see at the beginning, it's very hard to determine whether you're on the straight and narrow or whether you're drifting. But eventually, the drift gets drastic. And the older you get, the worse it is to be drifting, all right? So poor is another version of drift. So you will get a poor result if you drift slightly, okay? And to get an okay outcome, or certainly an ideal outcome, the difference between drift to get poor and crisis is decisions, okay? So people who make decisions get ideal outcomes, and people who drift end up in crisis, okay? So which line are you currently on? 1, 2, 3, or 4? Most people are on a 3 or a 4. Okay. Now I was doing this with one of those students that I mentor before she started with me, and I said, which line do you think you're on? She said, I'm actually on line 1. Okay. Now I knew she wasn't on line 1. I would ask her a few questions. I said, okay, well, how long have you been working for? She said, I've been working for 16 years. I said, what's your current net worth? Right? She said, $2,000. I said, so you're telling me in another 20 years, you're going to have 2 million? And she said, oh, okay, I think I'm in drift. And then she moved. She said, actually, I'm in drift, because she hasn't been making the decisions to get to an ideal outcome. She is now, but at that point, she wasn't. She was in what we call a delusional money mindset. Okay, and it fixed her straight away. So which one are you in? Are you in 1, 2, 3, or 4? Even if you're in an okay one, it is easier to drift downward in the early days. You can fall to the next line if you don't make any decisions and you drift, okay? You can see at the start, the lines are closer together. So your decision-making now is never going to be this good. Your decision-making now is never going to be this impactful. Now is the most impactful decision-making you can make to move from drift up to decision, to jump lines, okay? Because after about the 10-year mark, I would say from today onwards, the next 10 years, what happens is you can see the lines, they're starting to drift apart, okay? You can see decision goes up, drift goes down, all right? Once you hit that point, it's largely probably too late to jump lines easily. So it's never going to be this easy again to jump lines. Because if you get to number 3, let's say you're in a poor outcome, you're on line 3, and you drift all the way there, and then you realize, oh, I've got a poor outcome. Guess what? It becomes impossible to jump lines. It's easier to jump lines at the start. Okay, so you have a few options here based on where you are now. Number 1, you jump lines. Okay, what does that mean? You stop drifting, you start making decisions. Decisions to skill up, decisions to be mentored, decisions to get more knowledge, decisions to be around the right people, decisions to change your environment. Okay. It's never going to be this easy to jump up to an ideal outcome, even if you're in a poor or crisis line right now. The second option, okay, once you jump lines is to, of course, ride the curve. Once you jump lines and you're on an ideal outcome, you can ride the curve. Okay, so doing all the work required now. Have you ever heard the saying, if you make hard decisions now, you'll have easy decisions later. But if you make easy decisions now, you'll have harder decisions later. Well, this is about making difficult decisions now and saying, well, I'm going to jump lines so that I can ride the wave. Okay, because if you jump lines now, you can ride the wave and it makes things a lot easier because it's not you doing all the legwork. Okay, so jump lines, ride the curve. And the third way to give you an ideal outcome and jump lines is this way. It's accelerating the jumping of the lines to be able to ride the wave. And the only way to be able to accelerate jumping lines is to actually engage mentorship. That's how I jump lines. That's how most people jump lines. You can read all the books, you can do certain things, but it takes a lot longer. So if you want to jump lines faster and accelerate the process to be able to jump on that curve and ride it, then mentorship's the way to go, okay? The question is, how long are you going to wait until you jump lines? So decision-making is what's going to get you there, but most people are in drift. Don't wait until you're 55 to jump lines because it's impossible. All right. So I hope you've enjoyed that. If you're wanting to jump lines, then check out the description and also follow me on Instagram and see how we're helping people jump lines every day. All right. See you in the next video.